Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
With the current state we're in, a lot of stress is being put on our mental health. Making sure you're maintaining your mental health is an important step during this pandemic. Making sure you involve everyday practices into your daily routine is a good way to maintain your mental health.
The most important things are trying to keep a regular routine and structure. So although we are in isolation and we're in quarantine and we're following protocols to keep ourselves safe and to keep our loved ones safe, it's still important to go on about your day with as imagining you would be if this wasn't going on. So you get up, you shower, you get dressed. A lot of folks, or the ones that can, are working from home. You would still carry on with your day. So getting up at your regular times, getting dressed, doing the things that you would normally do, like eating properly, getting exercise, those kind of things.
Alberta Health Services also offers many online resources for people to use during this time.
The best website we have is it's ahs.ca, Help in Tough Times. So if you go onto that website, you will see a number of links. There's the important numbers, the mental health helpline, the addictions helpline. There is also an entire menu that talks regarding self-help. And there's a mental health and substance use, and there's tons of resources and links that people can click on to find all kinds of helpful resources that talk about just some of the things I've mentioned, but also how to manage stress. And there's links to various mindfulness exercises. There are a lot of resources available on that website.
During an isolation period, it's more crucial to keep up the daily practices for your mental health.
When we're isolated from folks, it's easier to fall into the anxiety and the depression and the unknown. We are in an area of unknown with COVID. So knowing that, let's take the steps to help us through.
Going for walks and getting exercise is another good way to keep your mental health strong. Now for this week's retrospect, our Blake Nath has more.
This week in retrospect. With the current COVID-19 pandemic gripping the world, we take a look back at the SARS outbreak in April of 2003.
Extremely frightening because this has been proven to be a virus and very, very difficult to treat.
Public health officials have quickly responded to the disease that is believed to have originated in southern China. The airborne virus results in a severe form of pneumonia and has proven fatal, with 3 people reported dead in Toronto.
One of the problems with a disease like that is again encouraging public hysteria and overreaction. Not that we want to minimize that this could be an extremely major infectious disease and a major problem.
It is believed SARS was imported into Canada by travelers returning from Asia. For the travel industry, it's just the latest in a series of setbacks suffered in the last few years.
I don't know how much more we can actually get thrown at us, but if it's not hoof-and-mouth disease, it's something that will affect the general public. It's not a big segment of our business, but it certainly affects us, and anything that affects the well-being of our clients, we want to act on right away and try to be proactive on it to make sure that they don't get themselves into situations.
But Duhame says the warning is not stopping people from traveling. So far, clients have either been rerouting or postponing their trips.
Nobody wants to send somebody into a bad situation. Everybody's trying to do their best to accommodate them as best they can. The unfortunate part is because of the short notice for some of our clients that we're leaving within a week, it really does put a wrench into their plans.
At this point, the duration of the outbreak remains a mystery, and healthcare workers are being instructed to wear surgical masks. Suspected cases are being treated carefully, with patients quarantined for 10 days. But Dr. Rogers feels there is no need for border city residents to worry and says healthcare workers are prepared.
We would fairly quickly transfer these people to either Edmonton or Saskatoon because, from my information, they develop a major raging pneumonia and are extremely ill. Those people we do not usually look after in Lloydminster, and we would then have them out to be looked after in the intensive care in the big tertiary care hospitals.
But as officials prepare for the worst-case scenario, and because of the number of people that could come into contact with the disease, Dr. Rogers says the disease could explode exponentially into the population, and everyone will have to keep their guards up.
How this disease is going to play out, we don't know, but public health officials are extremely worried.
Shannon Fagan, NewsHour.
And that's all for this week's Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
Now to our Connor Chan with a look at your weather.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Take a look at your current temperatures right now. 9 degrees right now as we're coming off a fairly warm weekend with a lot of sun there. So cloud coverage right now sitting at 9 degrees with still some decent winds coming from the south at 15 kilometers an hour there. Take a look at other temperatures right now around our area. 9 also for Vermilion, 19 degrees out in Edmonton, 12 in Vegreville, 8 degrees in St. Paul and Bonnyville, cold in 7 degrees, in Cold Lake and Pierceland, 11 in Lac La Biche, 16 down in Provost and Macklin, 9 also out in Maidstone, 7 for North Battleford, 2 in Meadow Lake, 5 in Green Lake, and 2 out in Isle La Crosse. So here's a look at the satellite radar coverage. Not a whole lot of cloud coverage out west, but as you can see here in that eastern central area there, we are going to get a bit of cloud coverage over the next couple of days, as we'll showcase later on in our 7-day forecast how much cloud coverage we possibly could be getting. So here's some temperatures in our regional here. 1 degree overnight in North Battleford with some cloud coverage. Going into tomorrow where it'll clear up a little bit with a high of 15 degrees for the daytime high there. Cold Lake sitting at 1 degree overnight with some cloud coverage, and they could see some rain tomorrow with a high of 15 and a bit of sun, but mostly cloudy skies there. And for us here in Lloydminster, 2 degrees overnight as we'll head into a nice clear sunny day tomorrow with a high of 12 degrees, and we'll still have some pretty heavy winds there at 20 kilometers an hour coming in from the west northwest region. So here is a look at the next 3 days. I did mention it's going to get a little cloudier as the days progress on, but as we take a look at the next 3 days though, 12 degrees, it'll be pretty much fairly the same all throughout those 3 days. The wind chill might make it feel a little bit more like -2 and -1, but nonetheless some fairly gorgeous temperatures. We'll see those highs of 12 degrees on both Wednesday and Thursday with a very minimal chance we could see some snow or rain. But that's a look at your weather for right now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Many local businesses have been struggling in the new reality of COVID-19. Online shopping has been one way businesses are getting their products to consumers. The town of Vermilion is hosting an online festival on Wednesday to promote shopping locally online. Jace Mackey spoke with the town's economic development officer to learn more.
So I'm joined with Vermilion's economic development officer, and we're here just to talk a little bit about Vermilion's online festival. So Mary Lee, can you just start off by telling me a little bit about what this festival is?
Well, it's a festival that we've created. We're in partnership with Seekers Media and Zen Seekers, and of course the town of Vermilion. And we want you to say hello to Canada's first online festival, virtually showcasing our Vermilion entrepreneurs, producers, and creators.
So who's going to be taking part in this festival?
We have a number of businesses taking part in this event. Actually, we had an enormous response to our first Facebook post. Originally, where this stemmed from is we wanted a way to showcase our businesses during, I guess, the COVID-19 times. A lot of our entrepreneurs have taken the opportunity to move their businesses to online shopping, and that's kind of where we started. We created in our business directory, if anybody goes to vermilion.ca and clicks down on our business directory, there is a category called online shopping, which takes you directly to the shops that do offer online shopping. We started there, and then we decided to showcase them live on Facebook on Wednesday, and we're going to start out with 6 to 7 businesses on Wednesday and then add more from there. So it will be more than a one-day festival, but Wednesday will be the showcase or the kickoff.
How can someone take part in this festival as a shopper?
Anybody that's wanting to participate in this and get more information can email economic@vermilion.ca or give me a call at 780-581-2419.
You said this is going to be over multiple dates. Do you know when they're going to be and maybe how many days that it's going to be?
Well, it depends on our response. Like I said, Wednesday we've got a full slate. We do have more businesses interested than what we have time for on Wednesday, which for sure is going to roll over into a second day. We'll let people know online what that day will be after we get through Wednesday. We aren't just putting people on. Between Seekers Media and the Town of Vermilion, we've created kind of a workshop package and a little bit of education before we just ask businesses to just randomly do a Facebook Live. We want to give them a bit of training. So when you contact my office, we will be sending you out a package and a waiver and detailed information on how you can get involved, and we want you to go through that package first.
Now, you said you received a lot of feedback from people wanting to take part, and you're going to have to do this over multiple days. What have local businesses been saying to you about this?
I think first they were very excited. We've had a very positive response. We initially reached out to, say, a 4-block radius because we can only fit so many businesses in one day. We posted it on Facebook, and it's gotten much larger than that, and that's what we wanted. And so anybody who thinks, oh, you didn't reach out to me, this is just the beginning. And so we kind of dove into it with baby steps, but it's become a lot larger in life, and we're very excited about putting Vermilion online and putting Vermilion on the map.
Why do you think it's important for people to shop at local stores, especially during this pandemic?
Well, I think we want to see an increase in our online receipts for our local businesses. Our local businesses here in Vermilion are the heart of our community, and we want them to stay, we want them to be sustainable, and we want them to be successful. And I think propelling them and I guess empowering them into moving online and educating them and assisting them in any way we can is how my office can help.
And just before we go, what else has the town of Vermilion been doing for its local businesses during this unprecedented time?
I think we've been reaching out to them. I've had a couple businesses who you can't shop online, and they maybe should be able to be accessible online for shopping. And so I've been working with a couple of those, trying to see if I can help them set up on, business commerce or Shopify or some way of getting their product online that we can assist them with. And I mean, I'll work with them right through that process if they need the assistance.
All right. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to conclude by saying I hope all of you tune in on Wednesday to the Town of Vermilion Facebook page, because all of our live shopping opportunities will be hosted there.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Welcome back. 3 years ago, Gary Leach and the rest of the 1984 NAIT hockey team got inducted into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame. Our Evan Kenny sat down to catch up with Leach.
Joining me today is a member of Alberta's Hockey Hall of Fame as well as Alberta's Sports Hall of Fame, Gary Leach. Gary, thanks for taking this time with me. Gary, you were part of the NAIT Ooks men's hockey team in the 1984-85 season. What was that like for you guys, especially going undefeated in that season? I guess just the experience that you guys had there.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say it was one word to be surreal. It was just one of those years that just everything kind of, when the stars align and everybody just pulled together as a team. I mean, there's all those different, you can say this or say that about the team, but, it was a real team, from the coaching staff down, everybody got along. It was, it was just one of those years or one of those seasons that everything just kind of fell into place. And at the end of the day, it was, the results were there.
At the end of March, it was 35 years ago since you guys won the CCAA championships in Moose Jaw in that season. What was that like? I mean, just going through the whole ACAC playoffs and then making it undefeated to the CCAA.
Yeah, again, it was just one of those years. It was like we almost couldn't lose. In the ACAC, we never lost. We lost a few games and tied a few outside of it, but even those games that should we have lost, it was just a bounce here or a bounce there. But, in the ACAC, it was just like we just couldn't lose. I mean, and even when we were down by a goal or two or even sometimes more going into the third period, everybody knew that we could do it. We had the horsepower to score the goals. We had the goaltending. I mean, the goaltending was unreal. We had it all. Goaltending, defense, and the boards put the puck in the net, and the D as well.
You mentioned, your guys' goaltending was unbelievable, and you had a couple goalies who actually played professional hockey. How did Perry Pern, who was your guys' coach, get all these different players, to one base to get them to Nate?
I think it's just what was offered by the school. I mean, school was first and foremost. Let's be honest with Nate. As a tech school, it was what it could offer, and then on top, and then secondly was what with the hockey and a bit of there was the program there was the coaching, it was the in the past years they'd always been a contender, right? So, and that just wasn't just the players; it's who they recruited, how they recruited. And again, the coaching staff was, Perry Pern was, it speaks for himself. I mean, that guy he coached in the NHL, so after the fact. And to bring in guys like, the two goalies like Cleo and Jeff, and some of our other players that played some semi-pro over the years, and just some really good people that came from, whether there's even, Junior B, Junior A, Western League. They just picked they invited the right people to the team and invited to the camp. Pretty well when we started out, there was just a few that did make it, but at the end of the day, it was a very small group, a small camp. I think they were more, handpicked for the situation or for the team they were looking for.
Gary, what was the experience like going into these different halls, especially for yourself to be able to do it with your brother Bren on the team and sort of by your side through that experience?
Yeah, growing up, I was 2 years older than Bren, so we never played hockey together. And so to play the last year of college with my brother on the same team, and to have the type of year we had, it was just one of those. It's something you'll never forget. The experience itself, just the hockey, the trip over to Switzerland, the running through the league, and on to the playoffs and the national championship, and the other games and the exhibition games in between. It was quite an experience, and to do it all with your brother, it was just a great experience.
And Gary, is there any, one memory that really sticks out from that season, or even, a memory from getting inducted into any of these halls?
Well, to get inducted is something that's really special. You just never think of that, especially when 30-some years ago, when you're going through that, through the season and battling it out with the other teams and so on and so forth. But I'd have to say where we had, hockey was very important, but it was just the team camaraderie and stuff, and the trip over to Switzerland. Everybody I think it kind of brought everybody together even more so. I don't know. It was hard to do that because we were a very close-knit team to begin with, and stuck up for everybody and stuck up for each other, one another. But that trip over to Switzerland, I think it just kind of congealed everything and brought everybody even that much tighter. It was, everybody had a good time. We played some really good hockey, and it just kind of, pushed us into that mode or into that final drive when we got back.
Well, Gary, I really appreciate you taking this time and sharing some of your insight with us.
You betcha, Evan.
Now let's take a look at your egg prices.
All right, taking a look at your temperatures right now here in Lloydminster, still sitting at 9 degrees. Out west, there are fairly warm. As you can see, Edmonton sitting at 20 degrees, Red Deer at 17, 18 in Rocky Mountain House, and Jasper 19 degrees in Whitecourt, and Edson 14 out in Athabasca. Out east there, Meadow Lake sitting at 2 degrees, 3 degrees in Prince Albert, 1 degree in Melfort, 6 for Saskatoon, and 7 for North Battleford. As we take a look at temperatures up north right now, 0 in both La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, -1 in La Ronge, -3 for Flin Flon, -7 out in Wollaston Lake, -6 in Stony Rapids, and -4 out in Uranium City. Out north in northern Alberta, Slave Lake sitting at 14 degrees, Peace River at 17, Grand Prairie City at 18 degrees, Fort McMurray a little cooler at 2 degrees, and High Level sitting at 7 degrees. As we shift to southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan, 20 out in Medicine Hat right now, 19 degrees for Lethbridge, 18 in Calgary, 17 for Coronation, and 15 degrees out in Banff. And here was the temperatures in southern Saskatchewan: 13 for Moose Jaw, 12 degrees in Swift Current, 13 also out in Kindersley, 10 for Regina, 4 degrees in Yorkton, and 11 out in Estevan. As we take a look at some national temperatures right now, Regina sitting at, as I mentioned, they are at 10 there, and they are sitting with some clear skies and a bit of cloud coverage. Out further east in Winnipeg, -1 right now, 2 degrees in Quebec City with mostly sunny skies and a few clouds. Toronto sitting at 5, St. John's and Halifax both with cloudy skies there, and sitting at 3 degrees in St. John and 7 in Halifax. As up north in Yellowknife sitting at -5, Vancouver sitting at 14 degrees right now, but Edmonton's still the warmest place right now with 20 degrees as their high. So here's a look at some temperatures for tomorrow. We are going to see a bigger change in warmth here. 12 degrees for around the area here in Lloydminster, Maidstone, 13 degrees in Wainwright and Vermilion, 11 out in Marwayne, 16 for Vegreville tomorrow, 17 in Edmonton, 14 in St. Paul and Lac La Biche, 15 up north in Bonnyville, Colt Lake, and Pierceland, along with North Battleford sitting at 15 degrees, 19 degrees for Macklin, 10 in St. Walburg, 11 in Meadow Lake, and 12 degrees in Green Lake. So here's a look at the next 7 days. I did mention earlier that we are going to get a little cloudier as the week goes on. So tomorrow will be clear skies with a high of 12. Another high of 12 on Wednesday, Thursday, with more clouds coming in on the Thursday. And then by the time we get to the weekend, high of 13 though as the daytime high, but we could see a 55% chance of some rain/snow. Heading into Saturday, 17 degrees the daytime high, 56% chance of precipitation on Sunday with mostly cloudy skies there at a low of 8 degrees. And heading into Monday to start the week off, we'll still see those cloud coverages heading in with a high of 14 and a low of 5. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome back. The Thorpe Recovery Center have reopened admissions with more added precautions to keep staff and patients safe during COVID-19. Connor Chan has more.
Teresa Krukel from the Thorpe Recovery Center joins me today. Teresa, first off, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about some of the protocols that the Thorpe Recovery Center has had to make during the COVID-19 pandemic. I know it's a little bit different, a different kind of business and organization that you guys run. So what are some protocols that you have had to take now?
It certainly has been interesting out at the center. So about 3 weeks ago, I guess now, we actually halted our intakes. We had to do an assessment of where we were at, our PPE, just our protocols that we were following within the facility. Over that time, things have definitely evolved. We did open up intakes again in our residential programming with a multitude of procedures in place for handling our new clients, testing, whatnot. And, certainly just having to think outside of the box in order to continue to deliver services.
You mentioned bringing in new clients. What was the decision made to allow that during these difficult times, I guess?
Well, recovery doesn't stop. You know, we consider ourselves essential services. I think now, likely more than ever, Albertans, you know, people across Canada really need to, you know, to come in for treatment and need help. And I think that, you know, we had to be aware that we had a role to play in that. We certainly are here to help people. And so we wanted to put precautions in place and continuing providing services.
Now, with providing services, do you guys offer online courses for your clients, and are you guys emphasizing all the social distancing protocols as well down there?
Certainly. You know, we do have some exemptions in place that help us a little bit, but we do have distance requirements, group size requirements, and we're allowed to facilitate this because, I mean, we do have a really significant size building, and so that gives us that opportunity. We are, as necessary, doing some kind of web connecting, so from room to room, just so we can have all of our clients feel as though they're one community.
What has been the response been from, I guess, your staff to start off with, how they've had to handle the adjustments to the COVID-19 and teaching other?
No, I think certainly. I think originally, you know, there, like anybody, there was fear. You know, we were all working to adapt as we knew, but I have to say that they've really come together. I'm extremely proud of our staff for moving. I say they've been overly agile and you know, adapting. It seems like every other day with something new, and just really they're focused on ensuring that we're still delivering a really high quality of care, and helping people in need.
Now, there is, of course, the new program that you mentioned that me a few days ago that you are starting up again. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, last week we made a big step forward, and we did open back up our detox unit. It's been a little bit tricky, you know, withdrawal symptoms from substance use often will mirror that of COVID. So it's a little tricky to maneuver. We're still hoping that we can get some continued direction out of the ministry on just how to facilitate it. So, but you know, obviously that's a real important part of a person's recovery, and several of our clients do need that before moving on into our residential program. So again, we're learning, but we're trying, and we are really focused on continuing to do what we do under these difficult times. And again, very challenging, but that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Well, Teresa, I really appreciate your time sharing all that information with us. I know you guys are a very essential service here in our community, so thank you.
Thank you.
A pilot in Nova Scotia has found a unique way to pay tribute to the victims of the mass shooting. Flight radar picked up a single-engine aircraft flying over the Portapique area in the shape of a heart. It is unclear who the pilot is, but their message of love has gained traction since being shared on social media. Now we will take a look at your pet pictures, so thank you to everyone who did submit, and we will be giving away a Pet Pad gift card on Friday.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Today I'm joined here with the Director of Services for Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Lloydminster, Jacqueline Weed. Thank you so much for joining me today. How has COVID-19 affected the way Big Brothers Big Sisters has run, because it is a very interactive program?
It is, you're right. So normally the premise behind our program is that the volunteers and the kids meet face to face and do things in the community that they enjoy doing together. So when COVID-19 started, we kind of had to take a pause for a minute and think, oh, how are we still going to support these children that are in these matches and that are on our wait list that still need this support? So we are still open for business at Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're working from home and we're doing things virtually. So the mentors have been empowered to connect virtually with the children they're matched with. Some are playing board games on FaceTime, just creative ways to keep in touch with each other and still have their weekly meetings and their weekly chats and do activities together. One match has baked a cake together but separate. So they each had the recipe, went through and did the cake together. So it's interesting to see what people are doing together. So because the kids are so isolated and are used to those relationships, aren't in school to have that support. So it's important that we keep doing what we can do. The mentors and our agency are supporting, the learning while they're out of school. So we're sending activities every week to the families and just encouraging that communication back and forth.
And what has some of the feedback been from the parents of these children or the kids themselves and the mentors? How has the reaction or feedback been from doing all of these activities virtually?
They're just happy that they still have that access to that support and to those conversations, and that they can still see each other. In the beginning, the mentors were they're kind of like, well, how do I still do this? So we had some discussions around, well, here's some activities. Oh, okay. And then they all started to get really creative on their own. So it's really great to see that they're jumping in and still supporting those matches. And I know that the parents and the kids greatly appreciate it as well, to have those extra people to talk to.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier. You guys, Big Brothers Big Sisters is still accepting new volunteers. What does that kind of entail? And if anybody wants to get involved with that during this time, how can they do so?
So yeah, we are still accepting volunteers and families. If somebody sees this and thinks, oh, I'd like my child to get involved, we can still do all the processes virtually. So basically what you need to do, you can message our Facebook page or you can call the office. We do check messages and we'll get you the application, and we just do everything online through FaceTime or Skype or, whatever works to get the paperwork done and the training. And then we can start the matches virtually. And then obviously once the restrictions are off for COVID-19, then we can have those in-person visits and get those friendships rolling.
And now you're also accepting donations. What kind of donations and how are you accepting it? Can people come into Big Brothers Big Sisters? Is it a curbside pickup or how are you accepting donations?
Right. So to support our BIGS virtual mentoring, obviously we still need that support from the community, which we have always gotten and has been so essential to what we do. People can go on canadahelps.org and donate to the agency online that way. They can mail us a check. Or we do still have co-op coupons and Panago coupons that we are offering, and they just need to get in touch with the agency. Again, either message our Facebook page or give us a call, and we'll deliver the coupons for you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline, for taking this time out to speak to me. It's awesome that Big Brothers and Big Sisters have found a way to keep running through this time, because it's super important to have within a community. And so it's great that you guys have figured out a way to, combat this crazy time that we're living in right now.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm joined now by Glennis Reeves-Gibbs of Startup Lloydminster. Thank you for taking the time with me today. And now, obviously, Startup Lloydminster has been helping businesses throughout Lloydminster and area. So just tell me how you guys are navigating the current climate right now.
Okay, so we've gone to total virtual. So we're using a number of different virtual means to do that. We are still meeting with clients to do business planning, to do our intakes. We've been doing our lunch and learns virtually. We've started to do a couple of extra forums just for people to tune into. That's all done virtually as well. And then, of course, through emails and that type of thing. So we've been trying to continue to provide as much service as possible, even though we're not able to meet in person.
And now you guys have been holding those virtual meetings discussing a wide variety of topics. So just tell me what some of those topics are and what you do have coming up.
Yeah, so we are doing our lunch and learn topics virtually, and I need to just have a quick look here in regards to what our upcoming topics are. So on the 22nd, we are sharing your vision and getting buy-in, and on the 29th, it's micro content for marketing. And I would need to double check, but I believe this week we are doing something on patents. So we have Community Futures, one of our partners. They're helping us do the lunch and learns and the forums as well. So yeah, no. So that's what we're doing. We actually held our annual general meeting virtually as well. So we were able to do that at the end of March. And we actually had a number of people that logged in for our meeting. So that was great.
And now if people do want to get in on those lunch and learns, find out something to help their businesses, can they still do so? And if so, how can they do that?
Absolutely. Tell them to go to our Facebook page. They'll see the upcoming topics, and it'll give them directions in regards to how to get registered for those sessions. And yeah, they can register anytime for those.
And now, how important is it for these businesses to learn something to help their businesses? Not only that, but also to connect and communicate with other people in the same field, especially right now.
So we've done our lunch and learns for a long time, but generally they're done in person. And so I think you brought up a couple of good points. So number one, yes, there's always topics of interest, but two, it's a way to connect with others. And that's why we like our, the video conferencing versus just the audio conferencing, because you can actually see people through that. But we also, as I mentioned before, have now started forums twice a week as well, on Monday afternoons at 2 and Friday mornings at 10, and we generally have the same topic, and that's really around just having a discussion group. So we've done anything from what resources have you used that you found helpful to what are some of the things you need to do to navigate through this time. And so we just lead that, and we have a lot of people that come on and offer some really great suggestions to others. And so really it's about just keeping that connection for business people that we work with or that we have worked with that want to join in, as well as for new entrepreneurs to keep them going on their business ideas.
And now obviously you guys have been doing some great work for the community with these different lunch and learns at your forums as well. But if there's one thing to take away from these, whether it is from the forums or from your meetings that businesses can use, especially right now when some aren't even open, what would you say that tip is?
So the one day when we were talking about sort of balance and how we maintain balance in times like this, I think one of the biggest tips that people went away with that day is that this is a time for us to really regroup, think about what we need to do to move forward, and when we can get back to opening our businesses and that type of thing, we're fresh and ready to go and have some new ideas. I really think what it's teaching people is just different ways to work.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time with me today, and stay safe.
All right, let's take a look at your temperatures here one last time here. 12 degrees for us tomorrow here in Lloydminster, along with Maidstone and Vermilion. 11 out in Marwayne, 15 up north in Bonnyville, Cold Lake and Pierceland. Edmonton sitting at 17 degrees tomorrow. Vegreville a nice 16 degrees. Provost also sitting at 17. Macklin at 18. North Battleford at 15. Up north in Saskatchewan, 12 in Meadow Lake and in Green Lake, and 8 degrees in Isle of Cross. 14 also out in Lac La Biche as well. So here's a look at the next 7 days. It is going to get fairly cloudier over the next couple of days here. 12 degrees on Wednesday and Thursday with lows of 2 degrees, and there will be a little bit more cloud coverage on Thursday compared to Wednesday as we head into Friday to start the weekend off there. 13 degrees with a daytime high and a low of 1, but we could see a 55% chance of some showers there. 17 on Saturday with mostly cloudy skies there, a low of 1 degree. 17 also on Sunday and a low of 8, but we also could see another 56% chance of some precipitation there. And heading into Monday to start the new week off, we are going to see a lot of cloud coverage there with that high of 16 degrees and a low there of 5. We average around 12 degrees for our daytime high, so we're right around that ballpark as we are seeing continuous strings of 12 degrees over the course of the next couple of days, an averaging low of -1, but we will see some fairly warmer mornings, and of course we are going to have that wind chill that's going to make it feel a little bit cooler than the 12 degrees we are expecting. So the wind is still going to be a bit of a factor, but not too much, as we of course had a gorgeous weekend, and we'll continue with some nice temperatures over the course of the next week.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Primetime Local News. Have a great night.